Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is Adam Dorn with the Fitchburg Fire Rescue. Dorn, long time no see. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm doing fine. The last time we tried to set this up, you ended up being really, really busy. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're not as busy today. And knock on wood, whatever. I don't really have wood here, but get it.
Yep.
Dorn, hopefully you had a safe holiday break, and we're glad you're here. Fitchburg has I don't want to say we're known to have a lot of kitchen fires, but there's been a lot of kitchen fires, unfortunately, throughout the years, especially in the 10 years that I've been around Fitchburg. It seems to be common, and that's not a good thing. So today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about cooking fire. We're going to spend some more time about cooking fires in general on a different segment, but also the sprinkler. We talked with Joe Pulvermacher, fire chief, about sprinklers and how amazing they are, but we're going to break it down for you a little bit, as you are a fire inspector as well, so we can talk a little bit through this. But first and foremost, Dorn, when we're looking at kitchen fires as a whole, and you're looking at sprinkler systems, sometimes those they're not always there, especially in the homes, maybe in the apartments. But what do you see out there?
Yeah. So in the homes that we have are all the 1 and 2 family homes. I think there's only 1 or 2 in the city of Fitchburg that actually have a sprinkler system in their home.
Wow.
That's awesome that those couple homes have sprinkler systems in there, because we can see the benefit or the value of having sprinkler systems from the ones that are in the multifamily dwellings. Over the last couple of weeks here, we've had 3 fires where the sprinkler system has stopped and actually put out the fire before the fire department ever arrived, and that's huge. In other cases, where we've gone to places where it has been a cooking fire, by the time we get there, the entire kitchen is on fire, and there's tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage, where here it's just a few thousand almost.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing that knock on wood that has happened. When you're talking about sprinklers in the homes, I mean, is it really? It's to me, I'm a homeowner. I don't have them. I can't even imagine getting them installed at this point. It's something in new homes that you might see, but could you even adapt to put one in your home after the fact?
That's a great question, Jeremy. Glad you asked that. Yes, you can. While you are absolutely correct, it's a little bit easier to put them into a brand new construction. You still can retrofit your existing home with a sprinkler system. It does cost a little bit more money, but in the long run, if you actually do have a fire, it's going to save your property. It'll give you more time to get out of a fire in your home. And yes, you're going to have some water damage, but I personally would rather deal with a lot of water damage rather than losing everything that I have.
Yeah, and when we're talking about limiting factor, I think a misnomer would be that when one goes off, they all go off. I don't know where that stands, but we'll look at a sprinkler head here, and you can tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so when one head goes, in the movies, you'll see a lot of times that when one head goes off, they all go off. It's really not the case. The sprinkler heads are actually activated by what you see there in the center, that red fusible link. That bulb is filled with a liquid, and that bursts at anywhere between 135 and 165 degrees. Sometimes they have what's called a high heat head that might be a little bit higher in more of an industrial settings or commercial settings. But for the residential settings or even multifamily dwellings, that 135 to 165 temperature is very common. That's kind of a standard thing. So that sprinkler head only activates when it's done by heat. In the video that you have here, it's quite impressive that, so he's actually pointing to that red filament right there. That's the bulb. And then as he goes to light this, that filament or the fusible link is actually going to burst. And that happens extremely fast. You can't even see that. If you actually pause the video right there, if you can pause that for me, that would be awesome.
Making me do work, Dorn. That's not
normal. I know. So underneath that red bulb, you see that little copper looking thing?
Yeah, right.
that plug, that's a plug that's actually holding all the water back that's in the system. So that glass bulb holds all the water back. So when that breaks, it lets the plug fly out of the pipe, of the end of the pipe, and then the water starts to flow. The water actually flows out of the pipe, and then it looks like an umbrella on the top. That's actually the diffuser. So the water hits that, and then it disperses into small water droplets and can put it out, puts the fire out that way.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And like you said, when it flows pretty good there.
So think about this. Normally, when we come in with our fire hoses, we have at least 150 gallons per minute of water that we will flow to put out a fire. That is a large amount of water. This is maybe a third of that.
Yeah. And once it pops, it pops. And something I think going back to something you were saying there before about the timing of getting out and stuff. A couple of follow-ups to that, and I make no assumptions here when we're talking about anything. While you might have extra time getting out, if you are cooking and you got a fire and it's just getting out of control, you need to get out of there and follow that plan. Get fire department going, that sort of thing. While it buys you time, you still don't want to take the chance and sit there and watch this all unfold.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is, if you do have a cooking fire, if you're able to, is to cover whatever's on fire with a pan with the lid, remove it from the heat, and turn the burner off, and just leave it sit. Leave it sit covered. Don't touch it. If you can't put it out by doing those things, or if you can't get the burner turned off, leave the kitchen, leave your home, leave the apartment, whatever it is. Get outside, call 911. Let them know what's going on. Get the fire department going, like you said. That is the best thing you can do. We would rather come and make sure that if there's a little bit of damage because of the fire, that's fine, but we want to make sure that you are okay. People need to be safe before anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, we don't want to point out that the sprinklers, why they, we want to make sure that they work. You go and companies go and test these as well, right? As part of their duty. I don't know if you probably look at them, but as an inspector, what are you looking for when you go in and check for sprinkler systems?
Yeah, so when we go in for inspections for sprinkler systems, we're looking for a couple things. One, we're looking to make sure that they are maintaining the sprinkler system as they're supposed to. Now, there's all sorts of different codes that are out there as far as the standard that they have to maintain it to. But we, generally speaking, we make sure that the pressures are appropriate for when they're installed. So when it's installed there, that's what we want to make sure of. So if there's a big fluctuation in pressure as we go through the years, right, we can say, hey, we've noticed this, or the pressure's really dropped from last time, we've got a problem. We look at the residual pressure and then the static pressure, so that when they do their flow testing, quarterly or annually, however it's recommended, we look at those numbers to make sure that it was done and that it actually meets up with what was designed for that system. We look at that. We make sure that the sprinkler heads are accessible, that there's nothing blocking them as we go through the building. We make sure that the FDC, or the fire department connection on the outside of the building, is accessible to the firefighters, so that we can walk up and hook up our hose to the sprinkler system. Because that's one of the things I think a lot of people forget about, is that the sprinkler system is connected to the municipal water supply. But if you have a sprinkler system where there are multiple sprinkler heads going off, sometimes it doesn't have enough water supplied by the system to support that all at one time. So we actually hook up to another fire hydrant and we give it more water. That way it can work and help us put the fire out if it ever is needed. As far as I know, in Fitchburg, we haven't had to do that. I mean, we do that on a regular basis when we have fires in sprinklered buildings. We connect to the fire department connection in case something happens, that it goes down, so it's like a backup. But there are other places, other community municipalities, where they do that regularly because they don't have enough water to support the extinguishment system in the building if something big were to happen.
That's interesting. I did not know about that. So it's probably a good training piece for you guys to keep on doing it. So the day you need it, it's there. No, all great information, Dorn. Really appreciate it. Wish we could spend more time. We will be talking about cooking fires as well coming up. So you can check that out at a later time. Dorn, thank you for your time. Stay safe
Thank
out
you.
there
Will
and tell
do.
everybody hi. All right. That's Adam Dorn, Fitchburg Fire Rescue. Always appreciate the time and the education. We'll take a quick break. You're watching TF.